She posted her engagement ring, until her best friend posted the same man. The moment Tola's finger hovered over the share button, her heart trembled like the edge of a champagne glass after a toast. The image glowed back at her, a diamond ring glistening under soft evening light, his hand, dark-veined, familiar, gently holding hers. Caption: Forever mine ring, red hearts. Within seconds, her notifications exploded. Hearts. Fire emojis. Us. Instagram had never felt so kind. The city of Lagos watched, scrolled, and smiled. The girl who had once been called the unlucky one, had finally found her happiness. But what Lagos didn't know, what she didn't know, was that by morning, the same man's face would appear again. On another girl's page. Wearing the same ring. And that girl would be her best friend. Tola had always been the quiet one in her friend group, the listener, the one who offered advice, lent wigs, fixed makeup disasters, and stayed up at 2 a.m. when heartbreaks made everyone else disappear. She met Michael 2 years ago, on an ordinary Friday evening at the Palms, Lekki. Her car had broken down, and he'd appeared like something out of a slow-motion Nollywood scene. Tall, smooth-voiced, sleeves rolled, wearing that lazy smile men wear when they already know the ending of the story. He offered to help. He paid for her Uber home. He called the next morning, just to check you got home safe. From there, it felt like destiny, or what Lagos girls call God when. He was kind, romantic, stable. A 34-year-old tech entrepreneur with charm and patience in equal measure. He didn't just make her laugh, he made her believe again. Tola had been cheated on before, by men who made promises but disappeared when things got real. So when Michael came, calm and consistent, she told herself not to overthink it. When he said, "I want you to meet my mother," she wept. For the first time in years, her prayers had faces, hers and his. Her best friend, Nkechi, was the opposite of her. Loud, dazzling, the life of every room she entered. They met in university, two girls from different worlds who somehow found home in each other. Nkechi had always been the bold one, the one who pushed Tola to take risks. "You're too soft," she used to tease. "Love doesn't find shy girls." When Tola introduced Michael to her, she noticed how Nkechi's laugh suddenly became a little higher, her eyes brighter. But she brushed it off. That's just how Nkechi is. After all, Nkechi had her own boyfriend, or at least, several of them in rotation. Tola didn't judge. They'd been through everything, heartbreaks, birthdays, brokenness, together. The night before the proposal, Michael took Tola to Sky Lounge. The city lights shimmered beneath them, a river of gold and chaos. He went down on one knee, voice trembling. "You've made me a better man, Tola. You're my peace. My forever." She couldn't breathe. Her yes came out in whispers, drowned by the cheers of strangers and the popping of champagne. They danced that night under city lights, phones flashing, hearts full. She thought nothing in the world could ruin that kind of joy. Until the next morning. The first call came from her cousin. "Babe, go on Instagram. Check Nkechi's story." Tola frowned. She was still in bed, the engagement ring heavy on her finger, her cheeks aching from smiling all night. She clicked the notification. And froze. There it was. The same man. The same suit. The same ring. Only this time he was kneeling, again, but facing Nkechi. Caption: "My heart, my king said yes to forever," red heart ringed. The world stopped. Tola's hands shook so hard she almost dropped her phone. Her mind tried to reason, to find logic in chaos. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe it was an old picture. Maybe. But then she saw the comments. "Congratulations, babes. Double proposal season 0. Two besties, same man? Lagos men, una too much face with tears of joy, face with tears of joy." The internet was already turning it into a circus. And in that moment, Tola realized something terrifying. She was trending. Within hours, gossip blogs had picked it up. Love triangle gone wrong. Lagos man engages two best friends. Who will he choose? Her DMs flooded, sympathy messages, voice notes, screenshots, strangers demanding explanations like she owed them truth. Michael didn't pick up her calls. Nkechi blocked her. 4 hours, Tola sat in her apartment, phone buzzing like a hive, unable to cry, unable to think. All she could do was replay every conversation in her head. The subtle glances. The inside jokes. The Times Nkechi asked, "So when are you and your man tying the knot?" with a smirk that now made sense. And she remembered the night Michael's phone rang while they watched a movie, the way he'd smiled faintly and said, "Just business." She never checked. Because she trusted him. By evening, the pain had turned into humiliation. Her engagement post now had over 10,000 comments, not of joy, but pity. Some accused her of clout chasing. Some called her stupid. Some told her to fight for her man. And the worst part, Nkechi posted again. A video this time. Her in a white dress, spinning. Michael laughing beside her. Caption, "Love always wins red heart, #NkechiNM." The ring was unmistakable. The same cut. The same glint. The same betrayal. By midnight, Tola's apartment felt colder than it had ever been. She turned off her phone, but the silence was worse. She thought about everything she'd given, the prayers, the loyalty, the patience. She remembered how she'd once helped Nkechi pay rent, how she'd comforted her through heartbreaks, how she'd introduced her to Michael because she thought her best friend should meet the man who makes me happy. She never imagined it would be her undoing. She poured herself a glass of wine but couldn't drink it. The room spun anyway. Her ring, that once felt like a dream, now looked like a mockery. She wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Instead she laughed, a broken bitter laugh that echoed off her walls. "How did I not see it?" she whispered. "How did I not see them?" The next morning, her phone rang again. Michael. For a moment, her heart betrayed her. She hoped for an explanation. Anything that made sense. When she answered, his voice was calm. Too calm. "Tola, listen. Everything you've seen online, it's not what you think." Her breath hitched. "Then what is it, Michael? Because my best friend just posted you with the same ring." "It's complicated." "Complicated." She laughed dryly. "You proposed to me. Then you proposed to her. That's not complicated, that's psychotic." He sighed. "I didn't mean for this to happen. I care about both of you. Both. I was trying to decide who I really wanted to be with, and it just..." The line went dead. She'd hung up. That day, something inside her shifted. The pain didn't go away, but it hardened into something sharp, something cold. Because the truth wasn't just betrayal. It was exposure. Everyone knew. Everyone was watching. And Tola realized she couldn't hide. If Lagos wanted a show, she would give them one. She wiped her tears, stood before her mirror, and stared at her reflection. Her eyes were swollen, her hair messy, but behind that ruin was something else, resolve. She opened Instagram. Tapped live. And with a trembling breath, she said, "You all saw the ring. You all saw the post. But let me tell you the part no one knows." The viewers climbed instantly. Within minutes, over 2,000 people were watching. Her voice cracked as she spoke, but she didn't stop. She told them everything, from how they met to the proposal, to the betrayal. No names, no slander. Just truth. By the time she ended, Lagos was on fire. Sympathy poured in. DMs flooded with support. But not everyone believed her. And that's when the next blow came. A message request. From Nkechi. It read, "You think you can play the victim? Wait till they see the full story." Attached, a photo. Michael. In Tola's bed. Asleep. Time-stamped. Last week. Tola dropped her phone. Her knees buckled. It wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was war. And Lagos, hungry for drama, had just chosen its battlefield. By morning, Tola's face was everywhere. Her live video had gone from 2,000 to over 500,000 views overnight. Clips were reposted on gossip blogs, reaction TikToks, and podcasts dissecting her every word. Everyone had a take, influencers using her pain for clicks, strangers calling her brave, others calling her attention-seeking. And in all of it, the one voice she hadn't heard was Nkechi's. Until 10:17 a.m. Breaking, Nkechi speaks, she's lying. I have receipts. The headline blinked across her phone screen like a wound reopening. She clicked the link. It was a YouTube video. Nkechi, sitting in her apartment, full makeup, voice calm, tone rehearsed. I never wanted to do this, she began softly. But since my so-called friend decided to drag me publicly, let me tell my side. Behind her, the same photo of Michael and her, the ring glinting, their smiles confident, sat framed on the shelf. Tola knew, Nkechi continued. She knew Michael and I were talking before he ever proposed. She knew we had history. She even told me, you deserve a man like him. But she went behind my back. She stole him. She paused dramatically, letting the words settle. Now she's crying online because karma came for her. The video ended with a slow smile, one that didn't reach her eyes. And within hours, the internet picked sides. Hashtag Team Tola, hashtag Team Nkechi. It wasn't about love anymore. It was about views. Tola couldn't breathe as she scrolled. People she knew, colleagues, mutual friends, influencers she followed, were reposting, commenting, choosing narratives. Her DMs were flooded again, this time not with comfort, but with threats, mockery, hate. You deserved it. That's what you get for stealing someone's man. You girls are all the same. The pressure was suffocating. She turned off her phone again, but silence wasn't safety anymore. Even when she went to the supermarket, she felt eyes on her. Whispering. Recording. One cashier smiled too sweetly and said, "Ah, now you be that babe for Instagram, ABI." Tola forced a smile, heart collapsing inside her. By evening, she sat in her dark apartment again, scrolling through the one thing that made sense anymore, the old messages between her and Michael. She reread his words, searching for clues. You're my peace. I've never met anyone like you. You and I are building something eternal. She wanted to scream. Then she noticed something she hadn't before, a text buried in the middle of their chat months ago. Hey babe, remind me to send that payment to KC for the app design. KC. Nkechi's initials. She scrolled up. More messages. KC said we should meet at her office. She's helping me get investors. Her hands shook as the realization hit. Michael and Nkechi weren't random. They'd known each other long before she came into the picture. She didn't sleep that night. The betrayal replayed in her mind like a looped song. By dawn, she made a decision. She got dressed, jeans, hoodie, sunglasses, and took an Uber to Yaba, to the office address Nkechi had once bragged about. The security man at the gate recognized her instantly. Ah, madam. That Instagram girl. She ignored him, heart racing. Inside, the receptionist looked uncomfortable. Sorry ma, Miss Nkechi isn't in today. Tola smiled faintly. Then I'll wait. 30 minutes passed before a voice came from behind. You really shouldn't be here. Michael. He stood in the hallway, casual as ever, wearing that same lazy smile that once melted her. But now, it made her skin crawl. Why? She demanded. Why her? He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Tola, you're not listening. Make me understand, she snapped. Was it all a joke? Was I just practice? He looked away. You were never practice. But Nkechi and I go way back. She invested in my startup years ago. Things got complicated. Complicated, she repeated bitterly. You were sleeping with both of us. His jaw tightened. I didn't plan it like that. I loved you both differently. Her laugh was hollow. You don't love anyone, Michael. You love attention. You love power. He said nothing. Tell me one thing, she whispered. When you proposed to me, was it real? His silence was the answer. As she turned to leave, he said quietly, You think social media cares about truth? They just want blood. You gave them that. Now they'll eat you alive. She didn't look back. But his words followed her out like smoke. That week, things spiraled faster. Nkechi launched a YouTube series, My Side of the Story. Each episode told her truth about toxic friendships, betrayal, healing. Brands started sending her PR packages. She became an influencer of pain. Meanwhile, Tola's page grew too, but for the wrong reasons. She became a meme, the face of heartbreak, the poster girl for how not to trust your friend. Even when she tried to post about something else, comments dragged her back into the storm. Where's Michael? Any new bestie to steal? Sis, you should drop a diss track next. It was endless. 3 weeks later, Michael's name trended again, but not for love. Tech bro arrested in 85 million Nigerian Naira's fraud case. Tola's phone buzzed non-stop. She opened Twitter and saw it, photos of Michael being escorted by EFCC officers, face half-covered, reports swirling. He had been scamming investors through his fake startup. Nkechi's company was listed as a partner. And buried in the comments, someone wrote. So that's why he was juggling both girls. One for money, one for image. It all made sense now. Within hours, the internet switched sides again. Suddenly everyone loved Tola. She was the victim of a conman. Nkechi was the accomplice. But Tola didn't feel vindicated. She just felt empty. Because beneath the noise, beneath the sudden sympathy, was a haunting truth. They had all built their identities around validation. They'd loved through filters, posted their pain like currency, lived their lives for likes. And now, the same audience they'd performed for was tearing them apart. Nkechi finally broke her silence 2 days later, another video. This time, her eyes were swollen, mascara running. I didn't know what Michael was doing, she cried. He lied to me too. Please stop attacking me. Her tears didn't soften the world. Screenshots of her old captions resurfaced. Brands dropped her. She lost followers by the thousands. And Lagos moved on, like it always does, searching for the next scandal to devour. One night, Tola sat alone on her balcony, scrolling through her memories. Her engagement ring still lay on the table, untouched since that night. She opened Instagram again, stared at her old post, and finally deleted it. No announcement, no drama. Just gone. Then she typed a new caption under a quiet photo of the Lagos skyline. Healing isn't a post. It's a process. For the first time, she didn't check the likes. She just breathed. The next morning, a message appeared in her inbox. It was from an unknown number. I'm sorry for everything. Please meet me one last time. There's something you should know. Michael. Her heart tightened. Every instinct said no. But curiosity, that cruel survivor of heartbreak, whispered go. She met him at a quiet cafe in Ikoyi. He looked thinner, worn, eyes darting like a man running from ghosts. I didn't come to beg, he said. I came to tell you the truth. He handed her a flash drive. Watch it. Then decide if you still hate me. She frowned. What's this? Proof, he said, of who really set me up. And then he walked away. That night, she plugged the drive into her laptop. Inside, folders of screenshots, voice recordings, videos. She clicked the first one. It was a screen recording, Nkechi's voice. We'll frame him for fraud. Once EFCC picks him, we'll trend again. You'll play the victim, I'll release my side, we'll both blow up. Tola's heart stopped. You sure he won't trace it? Another voice asked. Who cares? Once the blogs pick it, it's over. Lagos loves drama. They won't check facts. It wasn't Michael's plan. It was hers. Tola sat frozen, shaking. Her best friend, the girl she'd cried with, laughed with, had orchestrated the entire thing. The double proposal. The exposure. Even the fraud. It was all a staged story. For fame. For followers. For clout. She stared at the dark screen, realization washing over her like cold water. In Lagos, truth wasn't sacred anymore. It was content. And love? Just another algorithm. The city didn't sleep anymore. Not really. Not since social media became its bloodstream, a place where people bled for likes and healed for attention. And now, in that restless city, Tola held the power to burn everything down. The flash drive still glowed faintly beside her laptop. It felt like it was breathing, like it knew what it carried. Her hands trembled. Her mind screamed to stop. But her heart whispered, they used your pain for views. Make them choke on it. She pressed play again. The second recording opened with laughter, Nkechi's voice, unmistakable. You know what's funny? She really thinks he loves her. I told you, this girl's too naive. We'll let her post the engagement first, Then I'll drop mine. Double traffic. A man's voice joined. Calm. Confident. And after that? After that, we both cash out. You'll be trending. I'll be trending. We'll spin it into a brand. Tola felt her stomach turn. It wasn't just a betrayal. It was a production. She had been cast in her own humiliation, directed by her best friend and the man she loved. And the entire internet had been their audience. For hours, she sat staring at the screen, the weight of every frame pressing down on her chest. Part of her wanted to delete it. To move on, to reclaim silence. But another part, the part that had watched herself become a meme, a mockery, knew silence wouldn't heal. It would only feed them more. This time, she wouldn't cry online. She wouldn't rant. She would strategize. If they had turned her heartbreak into content, she would turn their deceit into a reckoning. By sunrise, she was ready. She created a new video, calm, composed, wearing no makeup, eyes steady. The caption read, "You wanted my truth? Here it is." She spoke softly. No anger. No drama. She told her story from the beginning, not as gossip, but as confession. She talked about love, about how easily trust becomes weakness in a world obsessed with image. She talked about friendship, about how envy hides behind laughter. And finally, she uploaded the recordings, unedited. Then she ended with one final line. "If I have to break the internet to rebuild myself, so be it." And she pressed post. Within 20 minutes, the video had 300,000 views. By the hour mark, over 1 million. Hashtag the girl who broke the internet trended across Nigeria, South Africa, the UK. People who had mocked her were now apologizing publicly. Journalists requested interviews. Talk shows invited her to share her healing journey. But behind all the noise, the truth was cutting deep. Nkechi's sponsors dropped her instantly. Her followers plummeted overnight. She released a shaky Instagram live, teary, defensive. "She's lying again. Those recordings are edited. You all don't know her like I do." But it didn't matter. Receipts were everywhere. Old chats resurfaced. Screenshots from mutual friends leaked. Even Michael's former colleagues confirmed the fraud. The empire of lies crumbled, one repost at a time. For the first time in months, Tola felt air in her lungs again. But peace didn't come easily. Because fame, even when born from truth, is still a hungry beast. People wanted her on podcasts, on stages, in brand campaigns. They wanted the girl who survived betrayal to sell resilience. And every offer came with the same question. "Can you tell your story again, but make it more emotional this time?" She smiled politely, but inside she was screaming. They didn't want her truth. They wanted her pain, packaged. One night, she found herself scrolling through her own hashtags again. Hashtag Tola Speaks, hashtag Healing Queen, hashtag Cloutbreaker. Thousands of strangers quoting her words, wearing her trauma like merchandise. And she realized, she had broken the internet, yes, but she had also become another storyline. She had won the war but lost her anonymity. The ring, the betrayal, the tears, they would never truly belong to her again. 2 weeks later, she received an email from an unknown address. Subject, "Forgive me." It was from Michael. "I saw your video. You were right. I destroyed everything I touched. I'm leaving the country when I get out. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I want you to know, I did love you. In my own broken way." She read it 3 times. Then deleted it. Because some closures don't come in apologies, they come in finally not caring. But fate wasn't done with her story. A few days later, she was invited to speak at a Women in Digital Empowerment conference in Victoria Island. They wanted her to share about online resilience. Standing backstage, she felt a flicker of the old fear, the tremble that came before every public moment. But when she stepped out and saw the sea of faces, mostly young women, phones raised, something softened in her. She spoke differently this time. Not like a victim, not like a viral story. "We've built a world where heartbreak is entertainment," she said. "Where people clap when others bleed, and call it engagement." The room fell silent. But you have to choose who you'll be. The broken girl or the one who learned from the breaking. When she finished, they stood. Not the applause of hype, but the quiet respect of people who understood. After the conference, she sat by the water outside, the city lights rippling across the lagoon. For the first time, she allowed herself to cry, not out of hurt, but relief. She whispered into the night. You can trend for pain, or you can live for peace. I choose peace. And for once, she believed it. Months passed. The internet moved on, new scandals, new heartbreaks. Nkechi vanished from public life. Michael disappeared abroad. And Tola? She built something new. A podcast called Unfiltered Hearts. A space for women to tell their stories, privately, safely, away from algorithms. No sponsorships. No clickbait. Just truth. Her first episode title, What It Feels Like to Be the Content. It trended quietly, not viral but steady. The kind of impact that lasts. One evening, she received a handwritten letter, no return address. Thank you for telling your truth. I was going through something similar, and your courage saved me. You may never know me, but I owe you my peace. Zainab. Tola smiled through her tears. For the first time, her story wasn't feeding gossip. It was healing someone. And that was enough. She took off the engagement ring one last time and walked to the edge of the lagoon. The air smelled of salt and rain. She held the ring in her palm, the same one that started everything, and whispered, You were never my forever. Just my reminder. Then she threw it into the water. The ripple spread, wide, endless, quiet. And as it faded, so did the last piece of her old life. Later that night, she opened her phone, not to post, but to delete. All her old pictures, captions, videos, gone. Then she uploaded one final image. A blurry photo of sunrise over Lagos. Caption. The internet broke me. But I learned how to build myself again. She locked her phone. This time, the world could scroll without her. And somewhere between the echo of waves and the glow of dawn, the girl who broke the internet finally found peace. Not in posts, not in followers, but in the quiet certainty that her story now belonged to her alone.